we're going to do a couple things. First, go over some of the base rules, what to expect. For your character's statistics, we're not doing point by this game like we did last game. We'll be doing rolling, which we'll do tonight altogether. I use an epic roll system for your stats, so you'll still get, statistically, you should be good. I also have handicaps and low roll drops, so nothing to really be worried about. You're not going to start with like 8s across the board. But in general, I like it more because it gives you, legally, it can give you the potential to start with an 18, which is very nice. So let's see. Let me go over my notes. All right, so this campaign is going to take place in the Feywild. Is anyone here familiar with the Feywild, or not familiar with the Feywild?
I'm not familiar there.
Okay, so the Feywild, I know some of you know about planes, some of you don't, so I'm just going to kind of go over what planes are in lore for D&D. So in D&D, you have the material world, right? And the material world is, think of it as like Earth and the solar system. This is like the reality. Then you have these planes that exist in different dimensions that are usually extremes of some kind. Like Mechanus is a plane ruled by law and logic. You have Avernus, which some of you just came from, which is evil, but also has law. So there's contracts, devils trying to make contracts, etc. And so all these planes are ruled by things, and those planes exist outside of the material plane. But there are other types of planes called transitive planes. Transitive planes are kind of like shadows of the material plane, which is reality. But they're an extreme of reality. So one type is the Shadowfell. The Shadowfell is a plane of undeath, but the geography is going to be similar. So like, I live in Texas. So in the material plane of Texas, I walk outside, I have trees, hills, etc. If I went into the Shadowfell version of this, it would be death and decay. The hills might be jagged obsidian. There wouldn't be trees. If they were, they would be made of like bone. There'd be necrotic energy. Instead of running into other people, you're probably going to be running into undead or wraiths, stuff like that. Then you have another transitive plane, which is the Feywild. And the Feywild is like the extreme of nature. So this is like the land of fairies, basically. That's actually another name for it. So this is where our campaign is going to take place, is this extreme, where there might be a forest in the material plane at this location, but in the Feywild, it might be a forest of mushrooms, giant mushrooms, right? In the material plane, at a location where there might be a mountain, instead of a mountain, it might be a tree the size of a mountain, right? So it's going to have similarities in geography, but it's like this fairy type version of, or fairy tale type version of reality. So that's where this campaign will take place. Any questions about that, or really the understanding of what all that is?
It's clear.
Okay, perfect. All right, so your characters are going to be starting in a town. Well, you're not actually starting in the town, but your characters will be from a town called Grapevine. Now, you don't have to be a resident of Grapevine. Grapevine is like, you could be passing by. You could live there. Grapevine's a small little town. I call it a town. It's more like a village. There's about 40 permanent inhabitants, and they deal in vineyards and orchards. So that's like the source of their income, why this town exists, etc. Surrounded by hills that are just lined with trees and grapes or vines. This is where you kind of start. Not really. I'll get to that in a second. So your backstory needs to have a reason why you would have been with this town. Now, the world around Grapevine, the material plane, has been in drought. It's been spotty for the last couple of years, but now like nothing in Grapevine's growing. And Grapevine was like one of the last bastions that was able to like produce food. So the village elder in this town, he has decided to take a risk, and instead of moving the village to somewhere where that might also be in drought, he knows of an ancient portal that will allow the village to travel to the Feywild. So the game will start out in the Feywild just after leaving Grapevine. The first few games are going to be getting to know the area, so this is going to be like introduction to the Feywild, kind of hands-on experience. But that's where we're going to start right there. So you need to have some sort of... Hold on, my dog just came in. Super well. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, you know how dogs are. All right. Where was I? Okay, yeah. So your character will have to have some sort of tie-in to Grapevine while you're here. So, like in one example, I know Paperclips is playing a ball. He doesn't have to be a member of Grapevine, but he could have been passing through Grapevine and heard about them going to the Feywild and is like, you know what, that sounds like an adventure. Bards like adventure, and that's why he's coming here. So it doesn't have to be anything in depth. If you want to be a resident of Grapevine, have something to do with like the orchards or what you would find in a small village, so blacksmith or something like that. And the reason you need to have this is because it'll tie into some of the story between levels 1 and 5. All right. Any questions about that, about tying in the backstory? Anything related to that? Cool. All right, so let's get into Tabletop Simulator. I'm going to go over our starting rules.
Does your race have to make sense for like the Feywild, or?
No, it does not have to make sense for the Feywild. So one of the character rules that I'm going to have is you can't know Sylvan, because there's no reason why you would know Sylvan, because you're not from the Feywild. Your character needs to be from the material plane. You just have to have a reason why you're in Grapevine, pretty much. So I think you were interested in like Warforged.
I'd change that to Gnome.
Gnome? Oh yeah, Gnome. Yeah, Gnome easy. You can pretty much be a resident of Grapevine. They're not. Grapevine is, while there's not a lot of people, they're somewhat diverse.
Grapevine's in the material plane?
Yeah, that's where you've come from. So this is like literally when we start the game next, like the first play session next week. At that point, it'll probably just be about 2 hours after you've left.
I did up like most of my whatever character and some backstory shit and the background thing. I'm assuming something like Guild Artisan is fine, and like the plot hook could be I'm just there to sell blacksmith shit.
Cool. Yeah, that works a lot. Because what'll end up happening going into Grapevine, y'all will be everyone, the NPCs plus y'all, will be grouped up into different things, or different parties, basically. And the elder is going to start assigning things to do, and the goal is to build a village there in the Feywild near the portal where you. So instead of like having a game where you start in a tavern, this is going to be one of those games where you might actually be building the tavern. not literally. We're not going to sit there and roll while you build a tavern. Like
Some
quest for finding shit.
smithing tools are
Yeah.
going to be real useful.
Yeah, exactly. So having some sort of this will also allow you for your backgrounds to use kits that your backgrounds allow you to. Like when you're creating, you have to do the background, and some of them give kits. This is a good time to use them. Man, okay, let me get a game up. I'm sitting here talking. Okay, now I'm gonna invite y'all, or you can join on me.
It's not finding you.
Okay, let me get. Sierra, I don't think I have you on.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Is it harvest or bloom?
Bloom, capital B.
I think you might have to up the player amount.
Oh, is this a low player amount?
It says 1 to 10 for me.
I just joined and it gave me 4 color choices. I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's weird.
Let me see.
Tiny table.
Yeah, I do. Okay, let me upgrade that real quick. No, max players is 10, so maybe I just need to change the table. So let me change the table. There. And then let me get some objects out for rolling.
Why is this guy face palming in the background?
Skittles, do you need the account name? Is that right?
Yes, your account name for Steam, so I'll just add you real quick and then
Um, do I write it down to you or I just tell you?
actually, are you friends with Dawn on Steam?
Yeah.
Just tell me your name.
Natalia, Natalia, and then put S007 all together.
All right. All right, you should have a friend invite in Steam. And Gage, do you need an invite?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Did you get that invite?
Yeah, sorry, I just found it.
Okay, perfect.
Did it go through?
I'm about to check. Yes, it did. Okay. I'm going to invite you to game. Okay. So here's how the stat rolling is going to work. I've set 4 d6s out, 5 sets of 4. You can take one, and what you'll do is you'll roll. So R, and then you'll tally them up. You drop the lowest number. So like this, I did a 1, 2, 4, 5. I'm going to drop the 1. So 4, 5, and 2 would be an, and then I'll write that down. That's going to be one of the stat stores. Now, and drop the lowest out of the 4. So, and you'll do this 7 times. Okay, so you only have 6 stats, but you'll do it 7 times. Drop the lowest score.
Jesus Christ.
If your highest is an 8 or lower, re-roll. Okay? Not your highest, but if any of them are 8 or lower, the sum is 8 or lower. Drop it. Right, yeah. So like if you got a 1 and 3 2s, that's a 6, so it's lower than 8. Drop, or it's 8 or
So
lower.
we're doing 7 iterations of this?
Yeah, 7 total. And then you'll
What's-
drop the lowest. The password is Bloom, like Orlando Bloom, with a capital B.
How do you pull a
Okay.
die out of the bag? Because I just threw it back in by accident.
Oh, just click on the bag and drag.
Cool.
All right, Natalia. Now, I'm assuming this is probably your first time in tabletop. So what you'll do is select a color, and that'll place you on the board.
Hello?
Did you say something before? Hello?
No, I wasn't sure what we were saying. What were we at?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so you'll see around the edge of the table, there should be like some colored dots. You can just pick one of those dots, and that'll place you on the table. All right. Is anyone using this orange set over here? Yeah, Bogey is.
Yeah.
I'm not using this one.
This purple one down here, yellow. Or
But I'm basically done as well. I rolled my 7.
all right. Now, Sierra, what you'll do with these to roll them all, you'll just click and drag so that you highlight all 4 of them. Or you can hold Control and click on each one individually.
Okay.
Right. The click and drag might be the easiest. I'm not sure, but yeah, just you'll click and drag a square. All right, and
Okay,
then hit
so-
R, and that rolls them. And you can hit R multiple times if you really like the sound of dice rolling. But all right, and so you'll take these numbers and drop the lowest, and then you'll write it down. So You got a 2, so that's the lowest. So 6, 4, 10,
Sorry.
that's 13.
I don't know how to control camera view. How do I move it to see closer to the dice?
Your scroll button on your scroll wheel. If you have a scroll wheel on your mouse, will zoom.
Right. And how do I move it to see it center wise?
Oh, click on the scroll wheel and drag, and that should move you around the table.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So you said there was a 2 is the lowest, right?
Right.
Wow, I'm blind. Which one is a 2?
This one right here.
Oh,
That's the 2, yeah. So you'll take the top 3 and write that number down. So 13.
okay.
6, 4. And you need to do that 7 times. So roll all 4, drop the lowest, add the top 3. If any of them are 8 or lower, like the sum is 8 or lower, re-roll them. And so write down your 7 highest numbers, and then you'll take the 6 highest from those 7. All right, for those that have already done this, those 7 drop the lowest from the 7. Those 6 numbers are now your stats. You can place them in any order you want. Doesn't have to be in the order you. But that's now your stat block.
Oh god. This is super good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 16, 14, 15, 13, 13, 13.
I have 10, 13, 13, 9, 13, 14, 13.
This is a
Well, you got to drop the 9, right? That was all 7. So
Yeah, I'm going to drop the 9.
this is a big brain dwarf. Or I mean gnome.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm taking forever.
Oh, it's okay. Not a problem. And then, do you need help with the re-roll here?
No, I'm okay. I'm writing things down. Sorry.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so while we get this done, so I know some of you have your characters down pat. Some of you don't. All are okay. We're not playing tonight. We're playing next week, so you still have another week. As I've said, the only restriction on language is Sylvan. And your characters will have a limited knowledge of the Feywild. That'll only be in the sense of like fairy tales you were told as a kid. Like if you're out late, a hag will come and stuff like that.
If I have 2 same numbers that are lower, do I roll it again?
No, you'll still drop. So if like you got 2 1s, you'll only drop one of the ones.
Okay.
So that's a 12 there. Yeah. So I want to hear about y'all's characters, what you have, any special personality quirks, class, race, stuff like that, and we'll just start in Discord order. So starting with paper clips, you can introduce to all of them. I already know a little bit about it, but I want to. If you have a name, I also want to know that. But class,
Yeah.
race.
I've got Chuckles, the Bard. He's a Kinku. And he's just like a wandering adventurer looking for, not adventurer, but he's looking for new songs because he can't make his.
Cool. So going to the Feywild would be a good thing. Looking for, well, not necessarily creating songs because you don't do that, but you've probably heard of the Feywild. You might know about the elves or Eladrin that are there. Probably heard tales of their song. So yeah, I like that. What background did you select?
Entertainer.
And what type of bard do you plan on being?
I'm planning on lore.
I like it. Lore college is pretty cool. All right. Bogey, what do we got?
I don't have a name yet, but I'm gonna be a rock gnome artificer. And eventually I'll be the armor thingamabob. For background, I got the guild artisan thing. And I guess the story hook is travel around trying to sell wares, find, I don't know, rare materials, I guess. So I'm gonna wander into this, trying to sell some trinkets.
Cool. And now, are you limited? I don't have all the backgrounds memorized. Are you limited on what type of wares you can sell, or are you just out there for all of them?
You select what kind of guild you belong to. The one I picked is supposed to be for armorers, locksmiths, and finesmiths.
Okay,
I don't know
cool.
what the
So
hell a
metalworking in
finesmith is.
general.
Yeah. And then for god worship, not that that matters, I guess, for an artificer, but I got Flandel Steelskin, which is like the gnome forge god that's supposed to be neutral good.
Oh, that's another thing. Alignment. Paper clips. Do you have an alignment?
I got it good.
Got it good. Okay.
Um, yeah, I gotta come up with a better backstory and a name, but I figure I'm sure there's a gnomish name generator somewhere out there.
For sure. For sure.
And then for like the backstory, like the hook is just gonna be traveling salesman. And I figure what traveling salesman can resist going into a plane where you can find like super rare shit, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Going to the Feywild would be pretty enticing for any business, especially since a lot of people don't go there or come from there.
That plus he's a gnome. They're all supposed to be fun loving and adventurous. So
Gotcha. Now, Don, I know you haven't chosen a class. Do you have any questions? Chaotic Evil? All right. And you said you had it down between Rogue and Ranger, right? Okay. All right, so we'll come back to that. We'll see what the rest of the party is rolling with. Gage, what do you have?
Alright, I'm a Lokatha wild magic sorcerer named Bo. And for the background wise, is it like, can we say we've been to the Feywild before or no?
No, unless you can convince me. What did you already have a hook for the Feywild?
Yeah, okay, so what I was gonna say is like when I was younger, like I escaped my, cause you know how the Lokatha are like slave tribes or whatever?
Right.
I escaped the slave tribe to go find help, and the Feywild is where I ended up in. I was looking for help, and then I was blessed, and this is kind of how I'm bringing in the wild magic sorcerer part. I was blessed.
Okay, so yeah, if you're gonna be a wild magic, that's definitely, yeah, that definitely works. So you can say you've been to the Feywild, but it would be years ago, so you might not remember everything about.
Yeah, and I don't remember who I was blessed by. Like, I never met who I was blessed by. They just kind of did it anonymously. So I went back and saved my whole little tribe from their slavery, and now I'm kind of like in the area wondering who, like trying to figure out who did it. Like who blessed me? Does that sound solid?
Yeah, I like that. We can make that work. That's good. Okay, perfect. Sierra, how are the rolls coming?
Oh, I completed it. I got 13, 10, 12, 16, 16, 7, 16.
Okay, wow, that's a really good roll. Okay. That was 7, right? So you'll need to drop the lowest number from there, from that group,
Okay.
and then you'll have your top 6.
Okay.
And those top 6 will be used when you decide on, or not when you. I don't know if you. It's your turn in the list for going over your characters, so I don't know how much you have, but these stats is what you're going to use for your strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And I'll let you know which ones might be better for which depending on your class. Let's go over your what you have for your character so far. If
Right. I was thinking of, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, an elf division. Division. Divination. Sorry. And
so
I
yeah,
don't.
you're going to be full elf.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Sorry,
like
I'm writing this down. You can continue. Sorry.
I feel like they don't really mix. um, but I don't know how creative I can go with it because I wasn't sure what our limitation of how far we can go with it. But my character is she was diagnosed with an illness that makes her forget stuff, so her whole body is filled with tattoos based on her spells. That way she can cast them before she starts playing. So the
Ooh.
reason she went to the Grapevine was because she just realized, well, she has a very short time of being recognized and knowledgeable over her surroundings. So she wanted to have fun and have a good time by going to the taverns and just basically enjoying life that she hasn't enjoyed it so far since she was fine. Um, so a lot of her, what I picture her is always wearing like a robe that is slipped on her legs and arms. That way it'll be easier for her to see her spells while she's
Okay.
casting them. Yeah. And she will always have a mirror. That way if she can't see a spell behind her arms or thighs or back of her legs, she can read them.
Nice.
There are times where she's very groggy and she doesn't really care what's going on around her. So you guys can be in danger and she's just like lily dallying herself around.
I like.
But and if there's like something that's too complicated, she just doesn't care and doesn't bother. She's like, just let it go to hell. I'll just watch from behind.
I
So
like it. That's very chaotic. I like that.
yeah, so that's why she's chaotic good. So she's that's the reason why I picked that one and the description she has. But that's how far as I got.
Okay, yeah, I like that a lot. Shit, that's really good. Yeah, holy shit. Okay, yeah, we can do some cool shit with that. Yeah, I got a big memento vibe from that, right? Well, at the beginning at least, and then the spells. But that's awesome. I like that. Okay, so you already have your class. So it looks like we have a divination wizard. We have a Lokthal sorcerer, a rock gnome artificer, and a Kinku bard. All right, so kind of a squishy party, but y'all stats should
Whoa,
help
whoa,
deter.
whoa.
Well, you're
11
not
health,
squishy.
18 armor.
Yeah. You're correct. Yeah. So the artificer is not necessarily squishy. So yeah, I don't think any of that helps Dawn out in choosing his class. And
Don,
I'm gonna
get it
be a
together.
tank.
hey, Dawn, I also want to point out there by UA there is a ranger that doesn't have spells. That uses it's like a combat range. They get maneuvers, kind of like a fighter does.
The revised one or whatever?
Yeah. I think it might actually be called Spellless Ranger. Okay, yeah, perfect. So you kind of get a, let's see, I feel like I'm missing something here. Okay, so Sierra, I don't know how much you've read into the rules. I just want to make sure when you're building your character sheet on the, and if you need help with the character sheet, all these guys are pretty experienced with it, but I can help you whenever. When you're building your stats, when you're deciding which stat goes where, you're going to want your highest one, since you're a wizard, to be intelligence. Just make sure you have a high intelligence, because all of your spell casting will be based on that. And then you can build it out from there. Yeah. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Well, actually, hold on. I want to point out I missed one thing at the very beginning. So I talked a little bit about how the material world seems to be dying. It's going into this drought. There's also rumors of undead popping up in different places, which is also one of the big factors of why why the village elder decided to take you through this portal, and take his village through the portal rather than trying to find another place, because it was kind of risque. So that's another key thing.
See that one more time?
Yeah. Yeah. So the I missed this at the beginning, but the world is dying. There's droughts and famine and all this kind of stuff going on. But there's also rumors of undead popping up in places where they haven't been seen normally. And so that was one of the deciding factors for the village elder to go to the Feywild rather than moving the village somewhere else, because he didn't want to take that risk of running into undead.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh wow, so you collect all the dead ones. Eh,
I like it. As long as you can be somewhat intelligent. which I think any undead can have high.
done. 1 + 2 =
You can just like count your finger bones since they're all exposed.
Right.
Wait, how do you heal then if you're undead?
Oh crap. Do healing spells hurt him? How does this work?
Just revived. Yeah.
Is he like a revenant? Well, I guess we know who's pulling guard. Forever.
Very cool. I don't think I've ever read through the revived, but it looks pretty awesome. It has a Planescape Torment kind of vibe to it. Tokens of past lives. Like it. I like it. There you go. All right. So that's pretty much all I have officially for here. If y'all have any questions about the game, or not this game in particular, but D&D in general, we can go over that. But other than that, you have your stats and the backstory.
One thing I wanted to get clear, what is the based on the dice rolls when you guys play?
What is the? Can you say the question again? Sorry.
What are sorry, do you have because I was watching some videos and they were talking about dice rolls, and is that based on attacks or something like that?
Yeah, so this game it's basically a statistics game and a chance game. And so what'll happen is every time your character can virtually do whatever you want it to do within reason. You know what, like you can't jump up a tower, but you can climb up a tower. So anything that you do, attacks, climbing, etc., there's an associated roll with it. And so this is called the D20
Oh,
system. So you'll use a D20 die, and that's I don't really like explaining that stuff in detail. It's one of those things you'll kind of learn more. It's better hands on. But yeah, it's a D20 system. So whenever you want to do something, you're going to end up rolling a D20. So the higher you get, the more likely it is to happen. The lower you get, the less likely it is to happen. If you roll a 1, the lowest that you can roll, that's an automatic fail. It just doesn't, you don't do it. And then if you roll a 20, it happens. So like a hit that would be a critical hit.
okay.
Yeah, so that's how that system kind of works.
So it all depends on basically what you decide to do in the game, and you have to roll it.
Right. And now some stuff I'll give for free, like a really good example in another game we play, Bogey plays a character. Actually, Dawn plays a character they both play the same race, and they can jump like. So for things like jumping 10 feet high, they don't need to really roll for that kind of stuff because they can just jump. They're really good at jumping. So like if your character has some sort of thing that it's just good at, then more than likely I'll just say it happens rather than making you roll. But generally in all attacks, you're going to have to roll.
Okay.
The only time that doesn't, this is kind of important for you as a wizard, spells are a lot different. Some spells you do have to roll to see if it hits. Other spells automatically hit, and then the person that you're hitting has to roll to see if they dodge. So it gets kind of confusing. We'll get into that in game. That's one of those things hands-on. It's just better to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but this game is going to be mostly on dice, and it's a D20, so you'll be rolling a D20 more than anything, probably.
All right.
And I'll have like roller strips set up, and you won't have to roll these individual die. Dawn has provided us with a pretty awesome roller strip for hits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw them roll all at once, like a strip.
Yeah, that's what we'll be using. It's handier instead of digging through these dies and trying to look at them. It all pops up in the text chat, and so you can see rolls that you did like 2 turns ago, stuff like that. So it's just a better way of.
Gotcha.
Little logistics. We'll be starting for most of you. That'll be our normal time, 6 o'clock, like we started today. We'll start next Wednesday with the Wild Convergence.
Are you going to be doing like, I guess, critical fumbles or anything like that?
I will. In situations where it makes sense. I don't like to always make a critical fumble, or it's gonna be the same for both sides. So like in combat, yeah, critical fumbles will definitely be a thing if it's something that makes sense. If it's like shooting a bow and there's like literally nothing between you and your target, I can't think of a situation where a bow, like an arrow, would come back and hit you, kind of thing. So it's not stuff like that. It might be just some comical stuff, but I tend to avoid the like heavy mechanical fumbles. Yeah, there you go. A lot of tension. But yeah, so because then if I do something like that though, then I have to come up with how much damage does a bowstring do when it slits your forearm open, right?
I thought you meant like a loot or something.
A loot?
Yeah, like for the bard.
Oh, you critically failed your spell and your loot. Your loot strings have wrapped around your neck.
It's out of tune now.
It's out of tune. You have to spend a turn tuning your loot. No,
And then
We're going to do concentration checks this game because I know we didn't in the last game.
yeah, well, I don't. So these are the real questions. Yeah, we'll be doing concentration checks this game.
All right.
So this game will be run a lot. What's that?
I just said, oh, yes.
Yeah, so we'll be running concentration checks. This game is going to be a lower scale. So in some senses, it'll be more difficult because you're not going to have the handicaps of availability of magical items. The first 5 levels are going to be quite mundane, to the point where like getting a +1 weapon would be insanely good.
Joke's on you. We're going to have 2 of them.
Good. Yeah. Some of your classes do that. So like Artificer can, and I think Forge Cleric can. But yeah, so this is gonna be more reminiscent of a fantasy genre. Like the last game was more of like high fantasy, where everything's just blowing up and a lot more action packed, or not necessarily action packed, but a lot more magic. There's going to be less magic in the sense of availability. The magic's still there. It's just a matter of how you get it out of the world. And I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yes, concentration checks will be there. I generally want to run this game rules as written, raw. So
Yes.
yeah. There will be some leeway though, because I don't like some of the rules. But concentration will be one of them. Yeah.
And then I guess, what are you planning for like the scale of this to be? Like, how far up are we gonna go?
Yeah. So I'm hoping level 15, but there's points in the story. So the story is going to be more. It's not going to be like railroaded. Well, the beginning will be somewhat, but there's going to be nodes where it's not going to be like in Avernus where I have these 2 decisions to make. It's like go get the sword, or go to El Terrell and make a distraction. Right? It's not going to be like that. It's going to be more of like I go east or west. I hit a fork in the road, and I'm going to take this road this way or this way, and so that'll determine a lot of the outcome of the game. And depending on how that works out, I have it planned to 15 is going to be like the fastest, but I'm really hoping that maybe we could go up to potentially like 18, 19, even 20, depending on if you hit places when events are happening and stuff like that for extra experience. And this is on experience. This will not be an experience-based game. For the sense, like if you have to miss a game, you're going to lose experience. I'm personally just going to be tallying experience, and that'll set the road marks for what level you are. So from your point of view, it's going to be a road mark based leveling system. I'll just tell you when you level up. That is going to be rolled, yeah. And so let's do that while we're here now. Actually, let me get a dice.
Isn't first level supposed to be like the max possible?
Oh, it
your
is.
con
Yeah,
mod?
it is. It's based on your con mod. Yeah. So once you decide what score your con is going to be, add your Constitution modifier to your total HP. So like if your class has a D8 hit die, you'll have 8 plus your con mod if it's 2, so you'll start with a total of 10 HP. For after that, we'll be rolling HP.
Do you know how to do the whole wild magic surge thing?
Yes. So that's actually one of the rules. Like earlier I said, there's some rules I don't like. The way they have wild magic, I've played a wild magic sorcerer by the rules, and I didn't like it that much. But then I played with another DM, and the way he did it, I liked. So the way yours is going to work is, I'm gonna be rolling behind the scenes for you, and when certain things take place, then it'll activate. Rather than like this really rare chance of it happening, it's going to happen a little more often. Okay.
All right, that sounds cool.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Sierra, are you familiar with? So when it comes to your ability scores, you have an ability score, but then you have a modifier. Are you familiar with that modifier? How to calculate?
No.
Okay, so the way it works is for your scores are going to be between 1 and 20 for the most part. Okay, if you have a 0, you're dead on any score. And there's some items that can take you past 20, but for the most part, 1 through 20. 10 is your modifier is 0. 10 is like the middle ground. So if you have a 10, you're 0. If you have an 11, you're 0. But the moment you get to the next even number, 12, you get a +1. So every even number above 10 is going to be a +1. So 12 is 1, 14 is 2, 16 is 3, 18 is 4, and 20 is a +5.
Okay.
All right. Now, the same is reversed the opposite way. If you have lower than 10, that's
It's
going to
a
be
negative.
a -1. Yeah, and it's at every even all the way. Okay?
Okay. And this is called again? What is it called?
This is your modifier. So in the character sheet, I don't have one up, but in the character sheet, there's 2 slots for every ability modifier, like next to Dex and Strength. There'll be a big slot and a small slot. Those slots, it doesn't matter which. I usually put the modifier. You use the modifier a lot more than you use the actual raw number. But in one of the slots, you'll put your raw number, and in the other slot, you'll put your modifier.
Okay.
Actually, let me. I think I have. Okay, yeah. Here's a character sheet here.
Where is it?
It's in the middle of the table. It's the white
Oh.
background doesn't really help, but yeah.
Gotcha.
So this right here. So I'm just gonna to kind of give you an example. So let's say my intelligence score is 16. Actually, I'll make it 17. So that'll be a +3 because I haven't hit 18 for the +4, but I've hit 16. At level 1, you have a proficiency bonus of +2. So up here at the top, it'll say your proficiency bonus is +2.
Okay.
And let's say you're good at Arcana. So you see this skill right here next to the ability score, Arcana. So the way you calculate that Arcana score is you take your proficiency bonus because you're proficient in it. You took that, and then you'll add your modifier for that stat. So Arcana is an intelligence, so that's 3 + 2. So your total will be a 5 for Arcana. And I put -5, but it'll be a 5. So if you're ever like, I want to see what kind of magic was just cast, which is Arcana specifically, I'll say roll an Arcana check. And so what you'll do is you'll roll a d20, and then you'll add that 5 to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And those are only for things that you're proficient in, and your class, your class, sometimes your race, and your background will determine what you're proficient in. And you'll have to select. It'll like give you a list of things to select, and so you'll select the ones that you're proficient in, and you'll just select there's a little circle next to all of them, and you can select it, and then you'll add the modifier for whatever whatever ability score it is, and then add your proficiency bonus because you're proficient in it.
Okay.
And that's why modifiers are important, basically.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
For starting equipment, can we replace stuff if we run it by you?
Yeah, for value. Yeah. So you can use the value of the item to replace it. Unless you also have gold, you can add the sum of gold that you already have. What do you have in mind?
I'm allowed 2 simple weapons. I only want 1 simple weapon and a shield. Can I replace a simple weapon with the shield?
Yeah, that's fine.
Bam.
Okay.
Mm,
Are they all vegans in the Feywild?
They're not. No.
I was just wondering if they're gonna flip out on us the first time we like eat.
No. No. They're so elves. This is like some deep lore. It's not going to be so much important for this campaign. But eons ago, when the elves first entered the material plane, they came from the Feywild. And in the Feywild, there's 2 main races, or at least the good races. There's basically 2 of them. One are the elves that remain behind, and the other is the Eladrin. And Eladrins are like distant relatives of the elves, but they're like elves that are based on elements. Gets kind of weird. But there's like, so yeah, elves aren't vegetarian, and they've originally from the Feywild. So yeah, there's plenty of there are vegetarians and vegans there, but there's plenty of diversity in diet. Some pescatarians too, actually. What you'll also find, just a little bit of further lore, what you'll also find in the Feywild is that their systems of governance are very similar to the government or the governance that you'd find in the material plane. So think like, lords and even kings of nations and stuff like that. That kind of stuff exists here, but it's kind of twisted. So there's a whole that's going to be mostly for sections like levels 6 through 10, where you get into that kind of stuff. But you'll find there's a lot of things that are similar to the material plane, but they have like its own little magical or natural twist on it. That's what you'll be facing. I hope this game will be a little on the heavier RP side. So there will be like personal quests if your character makes a decision to do something. There will be party quests based on decisions that you make. There's also going to be quest options on the side that are going to be a little heavier that I've done in. I think I only did 1 side quest in Avernus, the bounty system. But there's gonna be a lot of options to make money if you want, or get reputation, etc. So, and then there's just some side quests that are just for fun, and those will hopefully be pretty fun. Okay, I think we're done, unless y'all have any other questions. The golden bagpipes, yes.
I don't know. I ain't got nothing. I just gotta write out the backstory and do a few more character details.
Cool.
I'm good to go.
What's that?
When we're done with the character sheets, do you want us to like post them up in the whatchamacallit?
In the character sheet tab? Yeah. I want to take a look at your finalized characters. Not just for backstory, but also for what abilities you bring to the table, etc. Yeah, so that'll be in the Discord. Let's see. I lost my mouse. There, okay. Oh, yeah. So he's already got one up in the library character sheet tab. You can just upload. Okay, yeah, if there's no more questions, we're virtually done here. If you do have questions between now and next week, I'm available almost all the time. So you can shoot me a PM on Discord, Steam, Carrier Pigeon, whatever floats your boat.
Do you have a MySpace account?
Yeah, but I only have one friend. It's Tom.
God bless Tom.
At one point, the most popular man on earth.
Tom the Tomato from VeggieTales?
Oh. Did you ever have a MySpace?
No.
Oh. So, unlike Facebook, MySpace, when you started your own MySpace page, you had one friend, and that friend was like the founder or dev for MySpace. And his name was Tom. So everyone was friends with Tom. It's like starting a Facebook account and Mark Zuckerberg is your only friend.
I wish Zuckerberg was my friend. He could lend me some money.
Yeah. Everything's open. Yeah, everything's as long as it's UA and official. That's it. No third party. But like the stuff you talked about earlier, not earlier, but in the last game, that's available. You main rule still applies. You have to meet the prereqs. Yep. See, that's another thing, Sierra. You might want to take a look at. As an elf, you don't really have the option right now, but during your level progression, there's going to be levels where it says like you get 2 ability points, and you can use those anywhere on your score. Another thing you can do with those ability points is just turn them in and get a feat. And feats are like little enhancers. As a wizard, there's really not that many that are good for wizards, except for maybe luck. But those are things you can look up. I'm assuming Dawn gave you access to the
Warcaster.
Yeah, Warcaster's pretty good. To 5e Tools. Did Dawn link you that website?
No.
Okay. Here, let me give you this website here. I use this as a DM. It's like literally a database of all the rules. I'm gonna send it.
Can you send it through Discord?
I can send it through Discord, yes.
Thank you.
There you go. And you can go to like the classes and go to the wizard, and like it'll have a hyperlink to the wizard spell list. It has a table of all your level ups, which every source has a table, but it'll have hyperlinks to stuff if you want to check out other things. There's also a tab there on the main page that says that's where all the feeds are. So if you want to look through those, if any of them tickle your fan. The one I was talking about was luck. It's good for every class, though. It's basically if you get a d20 roll that you don't like, you can just choose to re-roll it instead. You can do that like 3 times a day. It's pretty nice.
Alright.
There. Oh, do they play a major role? Not really. No, most dragons are on like planes of extremes, like chaotic good, lawful good. That's usually where those types of dragons. There are dragons in the Feywild, but they're not like deities. So, and more than likely you won't run into many. Well, I don't think you'll run into any like ancient dragons. If you want to talk about like big dragons like you did in Avernus, you're not going to run into many of those at all, actually. Sierra, do you have any questions about your class? How the wizard works?
I can ask because I have to read a little bit more to it. Can I ask you throughout the week?
For sure. Yeah, yep. For sure. Open door policy on that stuff. So, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I read first, ask questions later. So, other than that, we are dismissed. Everyone is free to